Welcoming you to a life of awareness, the Presence Project is excited for you to join us for today's podcast with your host, Paul Kersner.
Hello and welcome to episode 83 of Are You Being Present? My name is Paul. I want to welcome you to the present moment. I want to welcome you to the here and now. And I want to thank you wholeheartedly, sincerely, and deeply for joining me in this wonderful, beautiful, amazing present moment. The title and topic of today's podcast is Disappointment is a Tool of the Ego that Prevents Presence. And oh, how I've thought about this podcast and this topic for quite a while. The term disappointment is used often. I am so disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed. I'm disappointed in you. I'm disappointed in myself. I don't want to be disappointed in others. I don't want to feel disappointment. Let's talk about disappointment, what it is, how it's used. I mean, it's the definition of a negative motivator. And we talked about guilt and shame. And disappointment has a lot to do with guilt and shame. But I wanted to hone in on this specific word, this specific tool of the ego, of our egos and other people's egos, how this tool, this word, is used as a control mechanism to make people do things, to make people feel things that they don't necessarily want to. And it is negative. And it is a motivator. And why is it so pervasive? Well, it's used all throughout this reality. It is societal programming to use something like disappointment to get people to do things that you want them to do. Parents often tell their children that they're so disappointed. Don't disappoint me. You're disappointing this person or that person. And it becomes pervasive. It's become so pervasive that after we're done being parented, we start using disappointment within our own psyche. Our ego uses it against us, and then unconsciously or consciously, we use it against others. But what gives someone the right to make someone else feel disappointed? Nothing. There is no reason for it at all. And I wish to bring this up to you because I want to bring an end to the use of disappointment as a control mechanism, to shed light on it, to say, wait a second, what is this about? Where does this come from? Why am I using this? Why do I feel this way? And that takes a level of awareness and observation as you go throughout your day and your life. And you see people use a tool like this, or you see your own ego, your own mind use a tool against you to control you, to get you to do things and feel things that aren't good at all. A term like disappointment is never going to lead you to a positive frame of mind or a positive state of being at all, ever. And this is the truth. Negative motivators do not lead us to a positive place. And not even a neutral place. There's no neutral levels of disappointment, but there are different levels of disappointment. But disappointment is a term that we have to start removing from our vocabulary. When other people try to use it against us, to control us, to manipulate us, we have to have a strong boundary internally and externally to say no. I cannot and will not allow anyone or anything to use disappointment against me to influence me. Being present allows you to see this, but it also allows you to see that when someone or something is using disappointment against you, even your own ego, how quick you are to react, what that feeling space is. What does it feel like to be disappointed? Oh, it feels terrible. It feels horrible. You'll do anything not to have that feeling. Subsequently, we use it against other people. So we're part of this perpetual loop of disappointment. We don't want to be disappointed. We don't want to make other people feel disappointed. Why? What is it about disappointment that's so terrible? Why have we allowed it to control us? Why do we use it to control other people? And what effect does it have on the present moment? That is the question I wish to ask. What does disappointment do to your level of presence? It takes you right out of the present moment. Being disappointed is a presence obstruction. It prevents presence. Because when you're feeling disappointment, you're feeling it about something that happened, or you're worried about something that might happen. Very rarely does it have anything to do purely and solely with the present moment, with what's unfolding in front of your face. And if you're disappointed in what you're seeing, then you need to learn, take a step back, zoom out, and shift your perceptions to allow things to be as they are, to see people and places and things for what they are, for who they are, for how they are. That is a respect that you pay others, and it is the respect that you ask for yourself. But feeling disappointed, making other people disappointed, no, that is disrespectful to yourself, to others, to the moment. And what do we want to do? We want to be present. We want to be in the moment, with the moment. We want to honor our present seconds. And we have to look at a term and a word like disappointment and see it for what it is and experience it for what it is. For what it is a presence negator. It is a control mechanism. It is not helpful at all, and it needs to be examined and uninstalled as a program that we've used to get things done, to get people to do things that we want them to do, to get situations to work in our favor. It is a negative motivator that should not be used anymore going forward. And so you have to zoom out a little bit and use reframing, because you might unconsciously use a term like disappointed in your vocabulary. And once it comes out, you can look at it, you can reframe it. It's that easy, as long as you're not being judgmental. But you also have to see how other people are using disappointment against you or with you. And then once you see it for what it is, you can create a boundary and not allow it to insidiously manipulate and control you, take you out of the moment, create feelings within you that are not positive, that are not neutral, that are only negative. A word like disappointment only creates negativity. That's it. And so if we're trying to create a state of presence, we can't allow a term, a behavior, a word like disappointed to work its way in, to worm its way in, and create roots so deep within us that we feel disappointed. It is so important as we do our work that we start picking apart all these little words and terms and feelings and expressions and looking at them and examining them under a lens of presence to see what they're doing. Because in the present moment, there's no room for disappointment. Things are what they are. You have to make decisions based on your clarity that you have in the present moment. And either something is working with you or it's not, and you can make decisions based on that. And the decisions you make, there are always pivots available for you if you're willing to do your work and be present, to see the senseless chatter going on within your head by your ego and not react to it. Not letting your ego use disappointment against you or allow your ego to use disappointment against someone else. This is very powerful. And a term like disappointed is very pervasive and infectious. And I wanted to take my present seconds. I wanted to share my present seconds with you to raise this term of disappointment and disappointed and say, why are we doing this? Why are we using this? I mean, it's so built into societal programming, into conditioning, into parenting, into management, that we think it's normal. It's not normal. Using negative motivators should not be considered normal anymore. We should not allow anyone to use negative motivators against us. We should not allow our ego to use negative motivators against us, and we should not use negative motivators against other people. That is not the way. That just creates more negativity. It creates that stream of negative energy. And if we're being present, we could see it and we could put an end to it. We can enter into that state of neutrality where there is no duality. There's no opposite to neutrality. That's why I love and seek neutrality over everything else. So if we uninstall, if we remove a term like disappointed, it becomes a lot easier to be present, to be neutral, to maintain clarity. And that's the goal. That's what we're working towards. So, brothers and sisters, my friends, please take a moment today or whenever you can. Look at disappointment. Look at disappointed. You can review the past. You can see how that's affected you. You could take some time, look in the present moment to see if disappointed or disappointment is existing within your reality. And you have a choice now. You can choose not to use something that is a negative motivator and really a terrible state of being. You can put an end to it. No more. We could be present together. We could be neutral together. We can soften things up so that our reality is softer. I know it's not easy, but doing this work makes life easier. And that's the goal. So I hope that this podcast, which is solely focused on the word disappointed, is helpful for you. It is something that I have thought about and think about and catch myself to make sure that my ego is not making me feel disappointed in myself, in others. It's a judgment, and it's not helpful. And I'm asking you to do the same, but without the lens of judgment, without being critical. Let's be objective. Let's see it for what it is. Let's do our work, and let's be present so that we can enjoy our present seconds together, so that we don't get lost within thought and feeling and negative emotion. So again, as always, I'm in a deep state of gratitude to be able to share this information with you. I thank you for the time that we've spent together, and I wish you nothing but peace.
Thank you for listening to the Are You Being Present podcast, brought to you by the Presence Projects. Remember, you have a choice. Choose to be present.